So good morning, boys and girls. Today is Good Friday, and I just got off of a Zoom meeting with many of you, and hopefully I'll get to see more of you on Tuesday afternoon when Ms. Marzoni hosts a pajama party for us all. And also on Tuesday, we should be getting news on what our schools are going to look like. Many states have decided to just cancel the year. Many are looking at starting back in May maybe, but we'll get news from our governor on Tuesday as to where we're headed with that. So I wanted to start something with you all. I know it's Easter weekend and y'all are having things with your families, maybe not as big a thing with your families as y'all are supposed to be distancing yourselves, but I hope that you enjoy your holiday and remember the true meaning of this holiday. But I wanted to start today reading the book that we were supposed to start when we got back from spring break, which is our Magic Treehouse book, Blizzard of the Blue Moon by Mary Pope Osborne. And this is book number 36 in the Magic Treehouse books. And it starts with a letter from the author. You can see the greeting, dear reader, that's you and me, the body, and the signature at the bottom. So I'm going to read that for you first. Finally, Jack and Annie go to New York City, the place I called home for over 25 years. New York City is a larger-than-life place filled with skyscrapers, taxis, subways, parks, museums, theaters, and busy, bustling streets. The city has all kinds of weather, too, from heat waves to raging snowstorms. I remember one particularly dramatic blizzard in 1996. The city came to a complete standstill as the wind howled and it snowed and snowed and snowed. When the storm finally ended, pale sunlight shone on all the white streets and sidewalks, and everyone went out to play. Kids made giant snowmen and dogs tunneled through the snowdrifts. No matter what disasters it suffers, New York City always comes back. I hope you have a great adventure there with Jack and Annie. Signed, Mary Pope Osborne. So this kind of makes me think of what's going on today in New York City and around our country and everything that we're going through, but that eventually it'll all end and we'll get to go outside again and enjoy each other and enjoy our places that we live. So it starts with a prologue, and I know that y'all are familiar with the background, but I'm going to read this part for you anyway. One summer day, a mysterious treehouse appeared in the woods. A brother and sister named Jack and Annie soon learned that the treehouse was magic. It could take them to any time and any place in history. They also learned that the treehouse belonged to Morgan Le Fay, a magical librarian from the legendary realm of Camelot. After Jack and Annie traveled on many adventures for Morgan, Merlin the magician began sending them on Merlin missions in the treehouse. With help from two young sorcerers named Teddy and Kathleen, Jack and Annie visited 4 mythical places and found valuable objects to help save Camelot. For their next 4 Merlin missions, Jack and Annie were told they must travel to real times and real places in history and prove to Merlin that they could use magic wisely. First, they went on a mission to the city of Venice. Next, they journeyed to the ancient city of Baghdad. On their most recent trip, they visited the city of Paris in 1889. Now, they are waiting to hear from Merlin again for number 4. And the story begins at chapter 1, titled The Last Unicorn. The November sky was gray with clouds. Jack sat reading in front of the living room fire. "Who wants hot chocolate?" his dad called from the kitchen. "Me, please," said Jack. The front door burst open, and with a gust of cold wind, Annie rushed inside. "Jack, guess what?" she whispered. "It's back." "How do you know?" said Jack. "I was walking home from the library," Annie paused to catch her breath, "and I saw a flash in the sky above the woods. The last time that happened—" Before she could finish the sentence, Jack jumped up. "Dad, Annie and I are going to go outside for a while," he shouted. "Can the hot chocolate wait till we get back?" "Sure, have fun," their dad called from the kitchen. "I have to get my pack," Jack said to Annie. "Meet you on the porch." "Don't forget the rhyme book," said Annie. Annie slipped outside and Jack ran up to his room. He grabbed his backpack. He checked to make sure their book of magic rhymes was inside. Good. There it was. Jack charged back downstairs. He pulled on his boots, put on his jacket, tied a scarf around his neck, grabbed his mittens, and headed out the door. "Come on," said Annie. Jack could see his breath in the cold air. "Brrr," he said. "Let's hurry." Jack and Annie ran down the street and into the Frog Creek woods. They wove between the trees, their boots crunching through the fallen leaves. Jack stopped. The magic treehouse was back. High in a tall oak tree, it was silhouetted against the gray November sky. "You were right," he said to Annie. "Good work." "Thanks," Annie said. She ran to the rope ladder and started up. Jack followed her. When they climbed inside the treehouse, Jack and Annie saw a book and a scroll of parchment paper lying on the floor. Annie picked up the scroll, unrolled it, and read aloud. And you can see this is the writing from the scroll. It starts with another letter. "Dear Jack and Annie of Frog Creek, I am sending you on one more mission to prove that you can use magic wisely. This poem will guide you." And the signature is just the M. Merlin, maybe? And this is the poem. "The very last unicorn is now hidden well by those who have put him under a spell. 4 centuries, 4 decades from that afternoon at the end of November before the blue moon. He will wake once more and be free to go home if you call out his name, divine flower of Rome. You must coax him to stand. Once his name is spoken, his chain will break and the spell too be broken. Then a young girl must love him and show him the way, lest he be trapped forever on public display. If he loses this chance to rise and depart, all magic will fade from his horn and his heart." "A unicorn," breathed Annie. "I love him already. I'll show him the way." "But this poem is really hard to understand," said Jack. "What kind of research book did Morgan send us?" He picked up the book that had been left for them by Morgan Le Fay, the librarian of Camelot. The cover showed a row of skyscrapers. The title was New York City Guidebook, 1938. "New York City?" said Annie. "I love New York City. Remember the great time we had there with Aunt Mallory?" There's the guidebook. "Yeah, I love it too," said Jack. "But why would there be a unicorn in New York City in 1938? A unicorn is an ancient fantasy creature. New York City is a real place. And 1938 is not even that long ago." "You're right," said Annie. "It sounds like a hard mission. But don't forget, we have Teddy and Kathleen's magic rhymes to help us." "Yeah," said Jack. He pulled out the book given to them by their friends Teddy and Kathleen, 2 young enchanters of Camelot. "The problem is, we can only use each rhyme once, and we've already used 7 out of the 10. "Which means we still have 3 left," said Annie. "What are they?" "Pull a cloud from the sky," said Jack. "Cool," said Annie. "Yeah, it is," said Jack, "but I'm not sure it'll be much use." He looked back at the book. "Find a treasure you must never lose," he said. "Hey, that's a really good one," said Annie. "The unicorn's a treasure, so that rhyme could take care of the whole mission." "But it only partly fits," said Jack. "You could call the unicorn a treasure, but once we find him, we have to lose him. He has to go back home." "Oh, right," said Annie. "What else?" "Your favorite," said Jack. "Turn into ducks." Annie laughed. "I can't wait to use that one," she said. "I hope we never use that one," said Jack. He didn't want to waddle around and quack like a duck. "These leftover rhymes don't seem very helpful to me." "Well, let's just wait and see," said Annie. "But now—" She held up Morgan's research book and smiled. Jack nodded. "New York City, here we come," he said. He pointed at the book's cover. "I wish we could go there." The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. And that is the end of chapter 1. I look forward to getting with you on the next couple of chapters and uploading those to Google Classroom. I hope you enjoyed listening and look forward for the rest of the book. Bye-bye.